Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. This video is a little different than our usual camping adventures, and we hope you enjoy it. If you're new, I'm Emily, and my husband Matt and I recently took a quick weekend trip from Seattle to Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
Ahoy!
Victoria is at the southern tip of Vancouver Island, and there are a few different ferry routes you can take to get there. We chose to take the Clipper, which is a high-speed passenger ferry that leaves from the Seattle waterfront and takes about 3 hours. The Clipper can carry 525 passengers and cruise at up to 36 knots. You can also get to Victoria via ferry from Port Angeles on Washington's Olympic Peninsula or from Vancouver, Canada. We're familiar with the Washington State ferry routes crossing Puget Sound from east to west, but this was a new experience going north and south. It was fun to see the Sound from a different perspective and cross the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which is the main outlet to the Pacific Ocean. The overall ride was smooth, but it did get a little bumpy through the strait due to high winds and tide patterns.
Victoria is the capital city of the Canadian province of British Columbia. Named for Queen Victoria, it's the oldest city on the west coast of Canada, with British settlement beginning in 1843. The Clipper drops you off in Victoria's inner harbor. Here you'll see the famous pickle boats, or water taxis, shuttling passengers to various points throughout the harbor. Whale watching tours also leave the harbor by boat or seaplane.
We stayed at the Fairmont Empress Hotel, commonly referred to as the Empress. Opened in January of 1908, the Empress was designed by Francis Rattenbury and was built by Canadian Pacific Hotels, a division of the Canadian Pacific Railway Company. The building was designated a National Historic Site of Canada in January 1981. Hi, welcome to our room. This is going to be a quick room tour. The bedroom. And the bathroom. We are at the Fairmont Empress. Hopefully you can hear me okay. There's a piano right there. But we have made a reservation to do high tea or tea. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but first time, so we're super excited. I don't really know what to expect, but I'm sure it's going to be delicious. So time for tea. Afternoon tea is a quintessential Victoria experience, and there are several stately tea rooms, gardens, and cafes that offer it across the city. We made reservations at the Empress, which has served afternoon tea with freshly prepared scones with jam and clotted cream, finger sandwiches, and cakes for over a century. More than 400 people a day come to enjoy a tradition that commenced when the hotel opened in 1908.
After tea, we explored Bastion Square and Government Street in the heart of downtown. Bastion Square was the original site of old Fort Victoria and boasts some of the finest restaurants, pubs, and cafes. Many outdoor patios make it an ideal spot to visit.
Good morning, everyone. It's day 2 for us here in Victoria. We're making our way along the waterfront to a breakfast spot. We debated on whether or not to go to Tim Hortons because you kind of have to do that when you're in Canada, but opted against it.
Just like Canadian McDonald's or something, I don't know.
We have a tour for Butchart Gardens later this afternoon, well, mid-morning, I guess. And we're just gonna walk around and see what we can see until it's time for the tour.
Yeah, and we did decide to shut off the cameras last night. We had a blast.
Yeah, celebrating a special occasion, so we put the cameras down just to enjoy ourselves, and this is a vacation for us after all. All right, time for breakfast.
Emily is sporting the Canadian tuxedo today, looking very sharp and beautiful as usual. Look at the giant counterweight.
Yeah.
Fulcrum, is that what you call it? Our morning walk took us through Canada's oldest Chinatown, in which the Gate of Harmonious Interest marks the entrance on Fiskard Street. Victoria's Chinatown originated with Chinese immigrants who traveled with an influx of gold seekers. Over the years, Victoria became the major entry point for Asian immigration to BC as word of work on the goldfields drew more immigrants from China, and around 15,000 builders came to work on the construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway.
Let's go see some flowers.
Let's do it.
The Butchart Gardens is about 40 minutes north of Victoria, and we booked an express shuttle through CVS Tours that included transportation to and from the gardens and admission tickets. The Butchart Gardens covers more than 55 acres of a 130-acre estate. Coming from Ontario, husband and wife Robert and Jenny Butchart moved to Vancouver Island in 1904 to build a cement plant on a rich limestone deposit. As cement production exhausted the limestone deposits, Jenny envisioned a grand garden in its place.
In 1912, Jenny began transforming the original limestone quarry into the sunken garden, transferring topsoil by horse and a cart little by little. The sunken garden lake marks the deepest part of the quarry, and the floor was sealed, lined, and allowed to fill with water from a natural spring. At the far end of the sunken garden is the Ross Fountain, created and installed in 1964 for the garden's 60th anniversary.
Containing a mixture of rare and exotic shrubs, trees, and flowers, often collected by the Butcharts during their extensive world travels, the gardens continually expanded over the years. By the 1920s, more than 50,000 people visited each year. In 2004, the Butchart Gardens, in bloom for 100 years, was designated a National Historic Site of Canada.
The Rose Garden is home to 2,500 roses in 250 varieties and is the only part of the garden in which the plants are labeled. The present Rose Garden was built throughout 1929 and 1930, and the design was developed by Seattle landscape artist Butler Sturdivant. The Rose Garden is at its most beautiful in July and August.
Look at that perfectly cut grass, lawn goals. The Japanese garden was started in 1906 and is the first of the formal gardens. Japanese landscape artist Isaburo Kishida assisted Jenny with the design, and laborers from the cement works implemented his plan. So I think so far, my favorite at least, is the Japanese garden. There's just so many little fun paths, and just follow a little path and it'll take you to something amazing like what's right behind us.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's cool, refreshing.
So next is the Italian garden, and we heard there's really good gelato that we have to try. So that's next.
Ah, yeah, gelato and hot dogs.
A flight of stairs leads from the Japanese garden to the Star Pond, originally designed for the Butchart's collection of ornamental ducks. The Italian garden is the most formal of the gardens. Created in 1926 on the site of the family tennis court, the well-known architect Samuel McClure worked to create the garden. To top off your experience, try one of the 18 flavors of house-made gelato. It was a pretty rough day.
Ice cream and flowers. On the boat ride back to Seattle, we were treated with some stunning views of Mount Rainier and much, much calmer waters across the shipping lanes through the Strait of Juan de Fuca. We hope you enjoyed watching this quick trip to Victoria. We'll be back in the woods with a new adventure soon.